Yo, yo, yo. What's happening, bitches? Welcome to the return of Ginge Live. It's my little solo hour where I just sort of hang out and dick around on my own channel. So appreciate anybody popping in for a spell. Any and all comers are welcome to join. And yes, before we get started, just a couple of small housekeeping notes. Largely, Tropical Magics. Right, Sean, behind me, the beautiful RT Bear cover. If you wanted a copy of this, you only got about 3 more months before this is literally never ever printed again. And if you wanted a copy of this cover right here for the regular Tropical Magics print, that's actually gone as well. That was for the Indiegogo as well. We'll be doing a new cover for the Kickstarter. So, but yeah, the RT Bear exclusive variant with Oliver Arce, I believe. Ollie, please forgive me, from 656. The dudes over there, the Guays, shout out. Awesome guys. Brian with Aerith Saga, Pedrino, 656, of course. B-Rose, all those guys. Anyways, so there's your chance coming up here. And we've got some more exciting news to talk about this coming Tuesday. So, okay. How are you doing, gang? How are we? Good. Good to hear that. Glad you're doing okay. I hope Grandmama made it through. Okay, though. So, I'm not sure that I'm allowed to do this, but I'm going to smoke some weed on my channel. I guess I should do it with the camera off. Isn't that the most pain in the ass? What I am going to be doing here in about a minute or two is the Game Master. We're going to be getting to draw here today, gentlemen and or ladies. Which I doubt there is many. But anyway, tit sweat is tit sweat. That's all I'll say. No, I'm going to be working on friend of the show, friend of the community, Jeff Elkins. Excuse me. Jeff Elkins' piece, of which I took it upon myself to draw my attempt at. And I say attempt because I really gave it my all on this thing and spent way more time than I likely really should have to only get as far as I did, for starters, but two, like, it became a pretty good obsession for about 2 weeks. And then I'll show you where I got to, and then we'll go over. But yeah, Jeff's not fucking around. If you see something and he made it look easy, that's because Jeff's just a beast. Oh my word, there he is. Hey, buddy. Shout out to Ash and Jackal. Yo, yo, yo. Hey, buddy. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you, my friend. The first guest of the whole show, Ash and Jackal. How you doing, bud? Saw you popped into a new comic book shop there and had to save your little one from the Dalek. It's always fun. Oh, Daleks. What are they doing there? He lives. Yes, I remember briefly. I remember your channel and your branding, but I don't remember the first part, but I just remember you ended everything with yes. And I was doing that around my house for like 2 weeks, just without even doing it on purpose. It's very contagious. Yeah, man, right on. Okay, so let me throw this up here. And, oh, hold on. Let me share my screen. There we are. Go. All right, here we are. Boom. All right. Okay, so let's get to doodling. Leo, I don't know if you caught just as you might have been coming in. This is my take on Jeff's Can't Kill Cade cover. I redrew my version literally the best I could, which honestly I'm very proud of, except for really and this is honestly what made me give up, quote unquote, give up. I'm picking it back up now, as you can see, but the folds and the hoodie, the texturing and the shadow on the folds, while everything else was like super difficult, that's actually proven to be the most difficult for me. Yo, Shadow Hawk talks. There he is. He's talking. What's up, buddy? Hey, Shadow. Good to see you, man. Been a minute. I salute you, good sir. Ashen says, I was going to start making content again. Got my new PC set up with everything, and it bricked with a Windows 11 update. My God. My God. Dude, that's a fucking. If I had a hat, I would take it off for you, my friend. Is there any I'm sure you have, but did you contact Microsoft and be like, yo, y'all fucked my computer up? Because I mean, I expect they wouldn't give a damn, but I don't know. That's a bummer, dude. Okay, let me hop back up in this bitch. So really, also one of the problems I was having is I don't really know how to texture all that well, especially with folds, and largely because I'm going kind of on the fly here with a lot of this stuff. Shadowhawk says, "How you been, bro? I've been like nonstop streaming for the last few weeks, dude. Right on. Yeah, I'm doing good myself. If you were talking to me, I'll answer. However, but yeah, I'm doing good. Got some off time here. Just finished uh the first draft for mine and Pedro's next project, which will be debuting as soon as we close out this Kickstarter for Tropical Magics. We're going to be dropping our next book, which I can't say too much about, but it's going to be awesome. I really hope you guys enjoy it. It's outside of the Tropical Magic series. It's another series we're going to be doing. We're going to be running those two side by side until they're done. So, which will probably be about 3 books each. But yeah, man. Ashton says, I got to reset the whole computer with a startup USB drive that is still coming in the mail. Alrighty. Well, fucking okay. Well, that's good, man. I really hope that works out for you. But, definitely with a USB stick, just like basically yeah, rebooting the system. Okay. Shadowhawk says, I try to make the rounds, but CG keeps growing. Hey, can't be mad at that. And we definitely appreciate you, brother. Tropical Magics came out beautiful. Great work, guys. Thank you. Yeah, it was honestly, it was a lot of fun, and just from the lettering perspective, and also I rewrote the dialogue in that book. Pedro calls it coconut English. I sort of call it Spanglish. Basically, yeah, the dialogue just needed to be redone. So he had me go through it, and as I lettered the book, I put the art and the script together, and had a lot of fun and a lot of giggles along the way. And yeah, I hope you definitely appreciate you backing and enjoying it. So, do you have anything going, Shadowhawk? Are you creating? What you been streaming? I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to your channel, and if I'm not, then I'm a little freckled bitch. Okay, so let's see here. Gotta switch over to my pants. Actually, my pen. Okay. There we are. Wonderful, darling. Wonderful. There's wonders for your skin, darling. Need my eyedropper too. Okay, let's get some black. We gotta get that right black. Not that there's a wrong black. All right, everybody calm down. Just kidding. Okie doke. All right, so let's just we'll have to brush off the dust here, so to speak. But yeah, what I'm really just trying to do is correct this hoodie up a bit here. I gotta even out the shoulders because that looks kind of goofy. And then I'm gonna somehow try to figure out the clothing folds within the jacket. And coloring it is probably not gonna happen. Not necessarily my forte, but maybe one day. Shadowhawk says, I co-host with Rex Christian Devil. Excuse me, Rex Christian Devil Flyer Momentum. I'm certainly saying that all wrong. With Rex Christian Devil Flyer, I believe that's his name. Momentum 4 at clock. I've been smoking some weed, so maybe I'm just reading crazy. I do have something I'm developing, but I'm not ready to reveal yet. Whoa, dude, right on. And whenever you're ready to put that out, please, you're always welcome on the show. Oh yeah. That's like one of the fun things. And this is when for me, it took me like when I got into CG, it took me like I had already planned on creating comics, and that's why I found the community and was like, it can be done. It's not the gatekeepers of old are, not really holding us back. So I was like, okay, these people are doing it. Why can't I? Um, but yeah, then but it took me like 6 months or so of just like YouTubing and networking before like actually getting the book out there for pre-launch and doing all that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun being on the other side too as a creator. It feels great, really, just getting to scratch an itch that you've always wanted to do. If you ever wanted to create, I definitely recommend it. There's nothing like it. Get your dick hard. Okay. Yeah, man, absolutely. So, without maybe spoiling too much, can I ask, are you a writer or an artist, or I'm gonna probably annoy you with questions now. I will do my best not to. Me fill in over here. Oh, the inking. Yep, I love heavy black. I'm a big Mike Mignola fan, just in terms of everything. Really, he's like, this isn't even my description of him, but I've seen him. I think he described himself as a like a spiritual mixture of um, Jack Kirby and Frank Frazetta, which if that's how he wants to describe himself, sure. But I definitely see the Kirby-esqueness, at least in like some of the shaping and some of the positioning. But obviously, what Mike is really heavily known for is his beautiful use of ink and heavy shadows and just all the black on a page. He's like a noir director, film noir director, but a comic book guy. And folks like Anthony Gambino, right? We know Anthony, another heavy black dude. And well, that sounded funny. A skinny Italian guy who's into heavy black ink. Um, that's like watching him do his stuff is one of the things that was like, all right, I'm just going to get into this and start arting where I can. Writer with a little bit of an artist. That's me. That's how I would describe myself. Shadowhawk says, I love heavy blacks. Hey, no, I'm with you there. Come on. My girlfriend is black. Not heavy, however. Although I'd still love her. All right. Crickets. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see. Really just gotta kind of dive in here and shape out some of these folds, but I truly don't really know how. I've got Jeff's piece for reference. Just buy more food. Hey, problem solved. I like to eat. She likes to eat. Let's eat. Okay, so yeah, you can kind of see the differences between our two pieces here. If I can grab my hand too. Oops, that ain't gonna do it. No, that ain't gonna do it. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so Jeff doesn't really have a. Okay, yeah, this is where I'm getting tripped up. It's like the shapes he's using to indicate with the shadows to me are kind of confusing, but not from his point of view, from mine, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay, okay. I hope this isn't faux pas, but I've actually shown Jeff this piece already, and he was cool with it. So it's definitely a homage piece. Jeff is basically one of the nicest guys out there as far as in our indie community goes. Anytime I've had any questions, any just anything at all, Jeff is. Anytime I've asked Jeff for anything, he's never told me no. So, and I really appreciated that. And yeah, so I just was inspired by what he did recently. And here we go. Here we are. Are you guys like that? I call it sort of like a triaholic in a way. It's like when you see something, when you see somebody do something, you're like, ooh, I want to do that. Are you guys like that? I have that problem with like, I mean, it's a good problem to have, I guess, but it is it can definitely lead to some distraction. I'll say that much. And I'm just kind of trying to indicate some shadow here, some shadow hawk here, but without aping Jeff's design too much. And let's just see what we can come up with. But I'm also, when it comes to drawing, and I was doing everything physical for about a year because I just recently got a tablet. Um, and I definitely say one of my most favorite parts about it is, sadly, the undo button. It just makes life a hell of a lot easier. But I still have a sketchbook I've been doodling out of, working on some tattoo style art for funsies. Trying to get some ink here soon. But, you know, Shadowhawk says, that's the amazing thing about our little thing, right? Okay, I'm sorry. That's the amazing thing about our little thing. Most everyone is willing to help others succeed. Yeah, absolutely. And cheers to that, my friend. And yeah, it's that's how I try to behave too on my show. We mostly get smaller creators on, which isn't necessarily really an accident. I don't consider myself the big to do for starters, but a little bit of help definitely goes a long way. And just I've seen some guys that we've gotten on the show that were new to the community that went on to go on a bunch of other people's shows, and that was exciting. Not that I'm taking credit for anything, but it was just cool to see. So yeah, man, the more people, the better. Really, it's a healthy community. We don't want a stagnated little uh pond. We want a big old ocean. Sort of been working on an idea. I'm totally CG slums. Got no problem with it. Yeah, boy. What's up? But no, I've sort of been I've been considering writing it as an article, but I've never wrote an article, and I'm having trouble starting it, to be honest. So I don't really know how to begin. But the basis of the idea is something like um, people have been, for the last 6 years or so, been comparing American society, with like the fall of Rome or the collapse of Rome, which there was a few, I think like three or four in a major historical sense before it was like really done. Um, but to that point, people have been comparing America to that and all that point. But more specifically to me, being a comic book guy, outside of what I describe in some way, in this scenario is like Marvel and DC are basically Rome at the height of its collapse, where the current creators, the current people within the city, within the beautiful gates of Rome, have all the luxury. They have all these beautiful characters. They have all this rich history. They have every single thing you could want as a comic book writer. It's what people get into writing comics for, is to be in Rome. And yeah, these people have totally squandered it. Not even just oh, you guys stink as writers, but from a business standpoint, put a serious hurting on both of those companies. And it's had its benefits on our end. It's obviously, as you guys know, been a sort of bittersweet thing. uh Truthfully, yeah, that's where I was headed, you son of a bitch. We are the barbarians at the gate, dude. That's it. We are the barbarians at the gate, just waiting and biding our time. We don't have what they have. We don't have all the luxury. We don't have we barely have shit. We just have what we have, and we have to make do. And we're still, over the years, sold a lot of books as an indie community. And I truly believe within the next decade or so, while we grow as creators, and it's going to be, guys, to the left and right of us. Just, I think of people like Phil Diaz. I see that guy as somebody who's going to be writing, I hope this isn't an insult, but writing in a mainstream capacity at some point. Again, not as an insult, but as in like, this guy is an undeniably good talent. And I think at the end of the day, as we progress over the next decade, 15 years or so, yeah, you're going to see a lot of guys from our neck of the woods who are just, you know, crawling, scraping, fighting, and fucking their way to the top, while these chumps that some of them kind of got handed the job, are just, make their society so unable to sustain itself, that all we really have to do is knock on the door. And whether that's with comic books or movies, I'm sure a lot of us want to be directors of something, some kind. That's like a big pipe dream of mine. I've got a horror short that Pedro and I did last year. It's called Raising Cain. It's just 12 pages. It was for the Death Curse zine. That I'm not sure what's up with that, but we have the book completed. It's just 12 pages, but if you guys want it, I'll be happy to send you a copy. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But it's something that I'd love to try to shoot as a 12 to 15 minute short film, because it kind of plays just like the start of a horror movie. And we might be releasing it sometime next year with two other stories as a horror uh, anthology, so to speak. But we don't have those two stories yet, so we got stuff in the air though. But yeah, that's sort of my pipe dream, though, to be a director. But honestly, man, learning comic books and learning sort of the way Hollywood has borrowed so much, just so many comic book properties without us even really realizing, dating back probably before the Addams Family, honestly. But that's like my big go-to when I'm uh, sort of just when I'm thinking about the way that comic books and yes, I guess storyboarding in a way. Even though Addams Family were strips, and they kind of really extrapolated on the idea of what those strips were, because it was just simple strips with, like, funny little, like, I don't know, a dead cat for a phone or something, and like a cute little catchphrase. But um yeah, and then you look at like stuff like, I haven't seen the second one. They really have been stealing our content for years. I've been learning about what is it, Bulletproof Monk. Bulletproof Monk was also a comic book series back in the early 2000s, and John Hervey is friends with the guy that created that series. And yeah, to me, if because it's a great movie, it's a brilliant setup. And this is the same thing I said about the first R.I.P.D. movie, which Netflix just put out a second R.I.P.D., which I'm not sure if R.I.P.D. was a comic book. I think it may have been, but I don't know. But regardless, it came out too early, I think. Excuse me. And I remember when it came out, people didn't like R.I.P.D., but I rewatched it the other day and was like, holy shit, this is not bad at all. This is good. It had everything that you could want. It was like it was an early version of what we get today. So if you're like, yeah, well, today sucks, it's like, well, to a degree, yes, but also they just keep doing the same shit over and over and over and over. So I try not to retroactively apply that to stuff in the past, like, people being mad at Frank Miller because now everybody narrates cops and noir and that type of stuff with a Frank Miller voice. It's like, they just are inspired very heavily, and that doesn't excuse them necessarily, but we can't blame Frank for that. But RIPD was a comic, okay. Yeah, well, it's a genius setup, and it made perfect sense. And Jeff Jeff Bridges and fucking Ryan Reynolds as the two leads, and it was fun too. The way they would like play with the different races and all that. You know, like fucking Jeff Bridges, I think was like a hot blonde, and Ryan Reynolds was that old Chinese guy who just like plays a bunch of random bit roles and shit. But he's a comedy actor. I thought it was a great movie, and I'm not surprised they actually did a sequel. And if it had been that came out today, I don't know if it had been as good, but I mean, it would have made sense. Same thing with Men in Black too. That was a comic, but apparently a good bit different. Yeah, Shadowhawk says I liked it, but maybe too soon, like you were saying. That's what I think so. Because I mean, I as far as like on its face, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't this have flown, or why wouldn't this have flown today? But yeah, I mentioned this to Pedro, and he said he didn't like the CGI, and that's fair. It was like 2006, I think. So CGI was maybe a little bit later, even, but CGI was definitely. I thought it's still good in the movie for the time period, but yeah. But no, comic books. As far as being a director goes, I'm thankful that I'm a comic book writer. In that, you know, I'm familiar with the pacing. I mean, it's not exactly screenplay material, and I'm not saying that it's going to make me or any other comic book guy a great director. But I mean, I think getting to sort of work with storyboards in the way that we do, and you don't have to call a comic book a storyboard because that's certainly not the case, but there's obviously transferable skills, as it's called, where there's that, you know, familiarity with, you know, trying to place things within a camera frame like you would writing a comic. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, if you guys want to read Raising Cain, that's my little short, which I'm hinting at. I'm basically trying to force the two of you to read it. So yeah, but no, we'll see. If I did film it, actually, I want to do it on iPhones. I've got two iPhones, older ones that one just needs a new glass, needs a new front. They're like I don't know what they're the I think they're like tens or something. But honestly, I don't give a shit because the cameras should be fine, and where the magic happens, as they say, is in the editing room. So hey, Ashton, you have some. If you're still there, buddy, you have some film school experience. Is that correct? Or do you guys have any thoughts on movies filmed on iPhones? I'm not sure if there's been really many, but yeah, I think it can be done, and I'm not really concerned with like getting a big ass expensive camera. It's like, nah, I just want to make make something fun. Yeah, man. Sorry, G, not trying to spam the chat. Oh, you're good, brother. Spam away, my friend. I'm spamming your ears, so I'd almost appreciate a little spam right back at me. No, you're good, man. You do your thing. I'm just working on my tight five up here. Appreciate it. Just trying to get some of these shapes in again, though. I'm just like building clothing folds, but I really have no idea. Ashton says there are some phones with truly amazing cameras, better than even DSLR. All right. Yeah, I mean that's and those cameras too, man. Like, you know, I mean, obviously you can pay pretty much whatever you want for a movie camera, but for me, I'm hoping that having you know, it's within like the last 4 years, so I don't have a clue what number we're on for um iPhones, but yeah, I'm hoping that the editing room should be able to you know, color correct and all that stuff, like which I'm gonna just be learning myself. But also Pedro said he'll chip in. Okay, Shadowhawk says, by the way, please check out my boy Vic King's Bail War, only on Indiegogo. Absolutely. Vic King. Have not had him on the show. However, I am a fan of his work. Can y'all see this? I was pointing the wrong camera. Yep. Asile. Enjoyed it. I honestly, this is no comment on Nasser, but the story was a little up and down somewhat. It was just what it was, fun, and Vic totally nailed it as far as the artwork goes. So, and I know the circumstances, they kind of threw it together and just had fun because Vic wanted to do some work, Nasser wanted to do some work. That's collaboration sometimes, and it's beautiful that way when you can just get into the groove and have fun and bust something out that everybody enjoyed. So, and I keep it on the wall. So, just a big shout out. I will. Shadowhawk says, "Hit him up, Ginge. Vic is very sociable." I definitely will. I will. Yep. We are almost booked up for the year as far as the show goes. We need one for this Tuesday, one for next Tuesday, and then the rest of the year is booked. Ashen Jackal says the Pixel 6 Pro is better than most camcorders and DSLs, but it is affordable. Okay, interesting. The Pixel, okay. Yeah, I've pretty much only ever used iPhones, and not because I've ever had a ton of money. It's like, no, I've just actually, my very first iPhone I ever got was when I was 17 and I was working at McDonald's, and it was during the Monopoly board game competition they would do, and in that, I was a cook at McDonald's at the time. I was, you do a little bit of everything, whatever. But my boss had told me this is the one and only time she'd ever had me count the waste. Like the middle of the day, they'd count the waste. Think you could get him in for Tuesday? I would absolutely love him this Tuesday. If I'll be happy to shoot him a DM. But if you wanted to, grease the wheels a little bit, that'd be great. Yeah, because we definitely need a guest this Tuesday. I was gonna have to pull out some favors, but that'd be great, buddy. But no, long story short, on my McDonald's thing, my boss had me count the waste, and some guy ordered a Big Mac. Well, he ordered a quarter pounder and got a Big Mac instead. Didn't peel the game pieces off, and my boss, as soon as it came to the front, the guy's like, "I didn't order that," so she tossed it back to me and was like, "Here, count this," and I was like, "All right." And then, but before I did, I was like, I saw the game pieces wrong, so I was like, "Okay, sure, we're throwing it away." I ripped one off. It was like Parkway Place, whatever. And then I pulled the second one off and just held it there, and it said, "Congratulations, you've won $500." Then I had like the little instructions. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. The $500 was a lot of money for me at the time. It's still a good little chunk of change. Like, I'll take $500. But I just slipped it into my pocket. It was like one Big Mac, and finished. Just marked it off, wrote it down on the waist, threw the Big Mac away, finished counting, and then went to the bathroom and was like, just so I could make sure I was reading this correctly. And I took that money. Well, I took that piece. I gave it to my aunt. Had her file the game piece, boys. Okay, this is where I get sneaky. I had her file the game piece, and then I paid her $100. Got my 400, and then bought. I think it was like an iPhone 7 at the time. I was 17. I'm 30 now. Okay, thank you, buddy. Yeah, I'll definitely be right after the show. I'll hit pick up, and we'll definitely be taking a look at his book, Beowulf. I don't know if I should. I'm gonna. I guess I'll just mute my camera real quick or stop my cam. I'm gonna smoke some weed, and I don't know if I should. Sometimes the guests of my show, our show, catch me smoking weed in the back, and if they're not ready for it, the look on people's faces sometimes, it's like people just sometimes aren't ready to see a guy with a pipe to his face. And it sometimes does make me sort of feel bad. I'm like, oh Jesus, probably just made this guy think I'm a lunatic. But nah, I figure it's best just to block the old camera these days. Somebody trying to swat old Gingy. I get gunned down. That'd be nuts. People out here are. Yeah, Shadowhawk says I'm always smoking. That's just I smoke, man. It's my vice or whatever. It's more than that, really. It's like it's a passion of mine. I love to smoke. And I'm sure you do too. I'm sure people, potheads, I mean, they love to smoke weed. It's just what we do. But yeah, sometimes the look on people's faces is like they get big eyed, like it's not. I swear I'm not smoking meth. You know, I know I'm from Florida. No meth though. All out. Smoked all that before the show. No, if I smoked meth before the show, we'd probably have a good bit more fun. I think probably have a lot more. No, we're going to be hopefully having some more fun on the show soon. I got in touch with, this is sort of secret, but I got in touch with the Courage the Cowardly Dog creator, and we're trying to set up a time for him to come on the show. He's working on a short film. You can check his YouTube channel. It's called John Dilworth is his name. Dilly something is the channel. Not to be confused with sort of any sexual toy. That's no, just John Dilworth, and yeah, he's working on a short film where he's animating it all himself, and yeah, and also, I mean, Courage was such a massive inspiration for me, and if you guys get a chance to go back and just watch that show, that's a show that when I watch it, I sort of question myself as a creator in terms of like the creativity, just everything that goes into that show. It's like there's no way on this earth I could do anything like that. And that's fine because I'm not John Dilworth, obviously, but that's a show that is very special. And oh my God, Neo Star Productions, yo, the brilliant star that shines through the night. The life raft on the sea of calamity. Evil beware. Riser man stands before you. Boom. What's up, buddy? Oh, oh. With the best intros in the business. I mean, that's just the truth. Good stuff. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Shadow. Just heard back from Vic. Hit him up. I will. Right after the show. I will be doing that. Awesome. Thank you, sir. I owe you one, my friend. If we're ever at a convention, I will buy you a beer. Which I'm sure maybe we'll meet at a convention one day. If you're stateside. Neostar says, "Oh, the things I do for love." Dude, that show is, oh man, it is so brilliant. It's horror, it's emotion, there's a lesson, but it's not like you're sort of morally questionable. It's like they tackle some real shit on that show. They tackle domestic abuse, the mostly what's some of the other heavier ones. The domestic abuse episodes are a big one, with the dogs, those other dogs that Courage ends up saving, and then they actually sort of end up being lesbian at the end. But I don't think it was like pushing a today's type of agenda. Shadowhawk says, "I hope so. Maybe CG Fan Fest someday." Neo's like, "Ooga booga booga." Absolutely, yeah, dude. Um, Another sort of one-off dream of mine, which is I don't know if it would be possible, but I don't know. I might like to do a convention in my town one day. I don't know. Um, just have to look at everything, and you know, it would be a lot of work. But I live in Florida, and at the northwest tip of Florida, about 6 hours from Orlando, 6 hours from Atlanta, and then what's that other? There's another state, Alabama. I'm right next to Alabama as well. So, is it at the bottom of the country? Sure, but I don't know. Lots of people like Florida, and I've heard people mentioning Florida for a meetup. So who knows? Maybe if Ethan or somebody doesn't do it one day, it's a lot of work, a lot of Cheeto farts. Be cleaning up. Sort of one of my biggest concerns. Cheeto farts. You know what I mean? I really don't know what I'm doing on clothing faults, guys. This is why I sort of grinded to a halt on this piece. It was like, how do I make clothing fall? I could just go watch a Dave Finch video. I know he's got tutorials on it. But I'm a stubborn ass that likes to figure things out by trial and error, which is again why that undo button has become my best friend on this tablet. Um, like drawing these guns and doing the shading in, it was just one finger on the undo button and just not stopping until I was mostly satisfied. And as I'm looking at it now, like that could be tapered in a little, just a little bit, sort of losing the roundness there. I am mostly pretty happy with how these guns came out, though. I was just really trying to play with the shadow. Like, there's not necessarily a lot of sense in terms of where the lighting's coming from, per se. But I found if the shapes were interesting, then I was happy with it. Yeah, furry juice. Yeah, I mean, they're just shitting in litter boxes and, making you provide them with dog bowls. These motherfuckers don't even bring their own dog bowls to eat out of. So, I don't know. It's a handful. Neostar says, I think they tackled psychological abuse as well. Oh, just look at Eustace's family history, dude. I was gonna say that, man. The Eustace episodes, those will actually make you cry, really. If they're later on in the show, they're in like season 3 is when they start to touch on that. I think there's 8 seasons of the show, if I'm not mistaken. But watch where you're going, you fool. Yeah, great shit, dude. Welcome to the International House of Pancakes. Free balloons for the kids. No, but Eustace's life, man, it was there's a reason he's a cantankerous, you know, old guy. And yeah, he had a hard life with hard parents, and yeah, it's and the music too, the way they play on the music, it just really like swells and just pulls at your heartstrings. It's a great show. So yeah, hopefully we'll get him on before the year is out. Okay, doke. All right, so what are you guys' upcoming books in terms of most looking forward to? Mine, I'll start here. Mine's Pum Spack, Davy Otterby's Unemployed Monsters, which has got just a few days to go in its first 30 days. And then Jeremy Thevenot's Beckoned. That's also, those are my two biggest that I'm looking forward to. I'm a big fantasy nerd, love it. And the amount of work and artisanship that Jeremy put into that book is apparent, and not just the book, but the whole universe. He's got a video game, and I'm sure more things to come. Same with Chris Fisk over there, another guy who, just a great dude, friends of the show. Uh, Puts a lot of work into his stuff too. Okay, alrighty. But yeah, then Davey Otterby. I just love the look of that book. I'm a big animation wannabe, which is, I think, one of the reasons Pedro and I click the way we do is he comes from animation, and his writing style is reflective of that. And I'm a wannabe animator with never the full skill set of sort of the artistic side, but even still, my even as a youngin, my sort of interest was in writing as well. Like one of my first jobs when I was 17 was wanting to be a writer for Pixar. And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time that, and I had a whole plan too, because I live in Florida. So I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish high school and move down to Orlando. And I'm telling her all this too in Spanish class. And I'm like, I was super excited. I'm like, I'm going to apply at Disneyland and then get a job and, work there and try to go to school for writing and try to network my way through Disney and end up in Pixar. And then I told her my plan. She's like, "If you move to Orlando, we're breaking up." And I just let that crush me as a 17-year-old might. And yeah, that was the end of that little dream. But not really the end necessarily. Just you know, sort of buried it down deeper for however long. But I mean, Pixar used to be the dudes. If you wanted like a good, just a not only just a good wholesome story, but guys that knew how to craft a real narrative and put the art and the love into it. You could just feel the love of what they did, and that was one of the most uh, sort of enticing elements about the idea. We're artists, man. We run off of emotion. Ginger's being gay. Faggot. I'm just fine. No, but there's certainly a healthy balance to be had as a human being. I mean, I guess if your job is dealing with your emotion in a sense, then yeah, I guess you should make sure you can balance it. But everybody wants to be that type of artist. It's like the crazed, the way the media has tried to portray artists. It's like this lunatic throwing shit at the wall. We got Ash and Jackal. It is better things turned out how they did. I completely agree. I completely agree. And yeah, can't say it better myself. Shadowhawk says my cousin was an on-site Disney World artist for about 5 years. He did all the murals in the restaurants and snack bars, etc. That is awesome. Yeah, those on-site Disney artists, especially if you get like a good painting gig, like what it sounds like your cousin had. One of Pedro's mentors, we had him on our show. His last name always escapes me, which I should get a smack in the mouth for. George, he's the director he directed Oliver and Company for Disney. He worked on Heavy Metal, The Lion King. Every major animation company he worked with at Disney, under some of the Nine Old Men, worked under Hanna-Barbera. He goes over it all in our show, but his sort of main gig these days is being a painter for Disney, and his website is where he posts a lot of that stuff. And also he does he lives in Panama. Actually, he's a Panamanian dude, but I think Pedro actually met him in Canada. But Pedro bumped into him in Panama again, which is where Pedro lives. This was like, right around the time we had him on our show. I think episode 32. So that was like about 20 odd weeks ago. Hail Lorenzo Sleestack. Hail Ginge, Shadow Hack. You're a hack. Shadowhawk, Ashen, and Neostar. Hail Lorenzo. Thanks for coming by, buddy. Mr. Sleestack, I will say I've always liked your name. Does sound very alien. And as a guy who people say, Ginge Gingerton, I like that name. This is a compliment from one smartly named gentleman to another. Now, it just kind of became a gimmick. I used to be a strip club DJ, and that was not Ginge Gingerton, but DJ OG, aka DJ Original Ginger. That was my little tag name, and I wasn't out there like club mixing because nobody came to a strip club to hear the DJ. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll say that. Aside from the fact that it was a strip club, but just getting to play music and get paid was fun. But then I got a girlfriend, so fun's over. But people liked my name, and I had business cards too. And sometimes I'd give my card to other DJs or just anybody to network. And when I hand them my card, it just says DJ Original Ginger. And a lot of the times I was met with like, "Is this for real?" I was like, "Yeah, man." But I took it in terms of like, if I make you laugh, you might remember me. And if I do well, that night or whatever while you're hanging out, if I, help you have fun at the party, then I'm obviously doing my job. So networking's good, man, even though that element of it. I mean, the only reason honestly that I got the job was because of who I knew. So networking's important. Yes, Will from the Creators Outlet channel worked at a strip club. That's right, which I find fascinating, by the way, that another strip club DJ is in the indie comic book industry. Like, I've been on Will's show, in fact, for when I was doing Spells and Superheroes. So, very nice guy, funny dude, and yeah, I find that though, like growing up, the guy that really helped me get into comic books was my uncle Mark, and he was a big time, well, not necessarily big time, but he achieved some level of success as a guitar player and did some tours as backing guitarists and did like Florida's version of, well, we had this thing called Busted in the Panhandle, which is like a Floridian version of Cops. It's not on anymore. This was like probably 2 decades ago now. Maybe not quite that long, but regardless, he like did the intro guitar for that, all this shit. But growing up, he was also a guitar instructor at the local music store, and my mom would babysit his kid. And he brought me over. When I say he really was influential in getting me into comics, he brought me this big ass box of Spawn comics, a sealed, I guess, Image at the time was doing like a short box of like, it was half Spawn. I think it was like the first 16 or 20 issues of Spawn, and it was like the first, I don't even know how many of Bone. I didn't read any of the Bone, which I've been told is actually, some people said that was better than Spawn, but I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me the way Spawn did. And but no, I definitely remember reading the shit out of those Spawn comics, and that just, yeah. I mean, again, just gripping you with a story as a kid. Reading something that made you read as a kid is, I think that's fantastic. So yeah, without my uncle Mark, a shredding guitar player, I might not even be here. We got a lot of musicians in CG as well. Absolutely, music and art are always closely related in my mind. I definitely think so too. I grew up playing guitar and drums and lots of other random shit. And I'd say as a writer and also just as a person in general, like rhythm and bass, like I don't know, it helps with pacing a lot. I think like it's a sort of internal clock for me that I rely on with a lot of things. I don't know if the two are directly related or if it's just my own mumbo jumbo in my mind, but and not that this is therapy hour, but no, actually, I'll tell you what's a fun little exercise I like to do from time to time, and you guys can let me know if any of you do this. Is sometimes when I'm listening to songs and I'm listening to the lyrics, I like to try to apply it into a comic book. I'm like, as I'm just listening to the lyrics, it's like, okay, panel one, like one would be like of Wolf and Man from Metallica. I always thought that was like the most underrated song on the Black Album, and it's just so fucking righteous, so tasty. And I don't remember the lyrics right off the top of my head, but it's like the first leading up to the chorus or leading up to the verse. It's like leading up to the chorus. It's like you could for sure panel that out and just like have the werewolf like howling at the moon, panel one, and then like sneaking up to a farm and and eating a lamb or something by the end of it. By the end of like panel five, page one. I find it a good. It's fun just for fun, but I mean it's a good little visual exercise if you find it interesting. Shadowhawk says started on piano and violin, been playing bass for the last 35 years. All right, fuck yeah, man, dude. Playing as a drummer, bassist, I really grew to love bass players playing as a drummer, and maybe because the guy where we stored my drums at, like where everybody practiced, was the bass player's garage. So I just spent a lot of time with my buddy. His name was Kelland. Great guy, great bassist, but yeah, man, I love the hell out of bass. Like it's just, I love funk music. I love jazz. We got a big sort of. I live in Panama City, Florida, and there's a lot of what's known as sea breeze jazz around here. It's like very smooth, beachy jazz. We have a jazz festival out here, and yeah, saxophone, bass. Yeah, man, rhythm section, bros. What up, man? Yep, good stuff. Yeah, that's actually what I'm hoping Santa Claus brings me for Christmas this year is an electronic drum set. We'll see if he comes through. Let's see. Lorenzo Sleestack says, I was a college public radio DJ. It was kind of odd because we're trying not to compete with the rock station, so we wouldn't play, say, Jimi Hendrix unless it was obscure recordings. Well, very nice of you for sort of respecting the local DJ's shtick. I might not have been so. Just depends on what age, I guess. But I'm sure it was a fun gig though. I remember, and it was very short lived. But way back in the day, I was when I was like 14 or so, on Apple iTunes, on like a very early iteration of it. They used to have what may have been in a way like the earlier versions of podcasts somewhat. It was more like Apple had this public radio station where people could create their own channel and go straight to broadcasting. And they were playing the way I came across it when it was being used was like uh, people. It was when I was first getting into like hardcore music, so like screamo or whatever. I'm just from that time period, guys. But no, I remember that's how I came across Bullet for My Valentine for the first time. Was like some dude was like just online using his radio station that Apple provided as like an actual radio station where he would come in between every couple songs and like dedicate something to some chick, and then and here's a Papa Roach Last Resort. And yeah, but that was very short lived, because if I recall correctly, it ended up being like a legal issue. All right, let me smoke some of this weed here. I apologize if I'm boring you guys with my story. Let me get some of my magic spinach here. Let's see what we can come up with. I guess here's a question, and forgive me for sort of asking, I guess, but has anybody tried fondling their own balls while jerking off yet? You guys come across that phenomenon? Or is it just me very recently? Yeah, because close to 30 years without even really realizing I had balls. Mostly, it's like you only think about them when you squish them or when they are seemingly in danger, and they're pretty much the last thing on your mind while you're jerking off is your own balls. And yeah, I recommend it. Is that too much, Shadow? I mean, look, man, give it a try. That's all I'm saying. It's different from a stranger, but it's got to be in the ballpark, right? I mean, that's like what's the cousin to a stranger? That's like a friend you're not really that familiar with yet. An acquaintance. Yeah, yeah. You've got the stranger. That's when you numb your hand and sit. You sit on it and jerk off with a numb hand. An acquaintance is when you fondle your own balls while jerking off. You still feel it. You know it's you, but you're all right with it. In the ballpark, Lorenzo says. In the ballpark. Use the offhand. Right, right. I'm a righty, so it's you get in there with the left. I don't know. I haven't quite made it to fingering my own ass yet, but we'll see. No, I'm just working on some bad stand up here, but drop your comments in the chat. Let me know if you fingered your own butthole yet. I suspect no's, but hey. Okay, so now that is out of the way. I used to want to be a stand up. I tried changing hands. Lorenzo says, I tried changing hands before, but forgot what I was doing. Oof, man. I can see it. It's tough. It's sort of you get lost up in the feeling of it. You're like, man, what am I even doing now? It's like, oh yeah, I guess I'm hungry. What's the best? A sandwich? Is that like the best post nut food? I don't know. I don't even really. I'm not even usually that hungry. Of course, we're talking about jerking off, so it's really not that much effort put into it, unless you're really going at it. I mean, you could really work yourself if you wanted. I don't know. The silence is deafening. That's a joke I stole from a friend who sadly passed away. Oh, man. Wow. Well then, All right, rest in power to your friend, and your friend had a good joke. So here, here. Have I ever accidentally hurt myself? Well, I mean, like all of you, I'm sure I've skeeted in my own face once or twice. Over the years. Look, you play with fire, and you're bound to get burned. Like I burn myself on occasion just trying to light a lighter. It's like you're trying to light the bowl, and you nick your thumb. But have I hurt myself? I can't say that I have. I wouldn't say hurt, but I mean, I've probably hurt myself spiritually. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm doing some damage there. Though he didn't pass away the way David Carradine did. Hey, yeah. I mean, dude, that's that's like, yeah, that's about the most unflattering way to do it. And certainly, I don't think he was trying to kill himself, David Carradine. But yeah, that is taking it too far. Actually, that is taking it too far. And the question really does remain: Does David? Is that the progression? You start off with a stranger, then you move to the acquaintance, and then you end with a Carradine. I gotta feel like you're tweaking your own nipples at some point, right? You got to play with the nips before you start hanging yourself to come. Shadowhawk says, "Wow, this went south really quickly." Yes, yes, it did. I'm pleased with it though. I'll take it. I don't feel quite as crazy anymore, which is a good thing for me. David Carradine is still a hero. Kill Bill. I know him and his brother were in that. What was it, like a traveling monk show where they just like went from town to town whooping ass? Yeah, I mean Kill Bill. I mean those are honestly the only things I know him from. But yeah, Kill Bill is awesome. Can't argue with that. Quentin Tarantino and the rest of the cast. Kung Fu. Yes, that was the show. Yeah. Was he rad at Kung Fu? Was David Carradine like a kick ass? I mean, legit. Kung Fu guy. Would him and Chuck Norris been able to stand toe to toe? I know Chuck's got all the. He didn't quite uh, jerk himself off to death, but he's got all those Chuck Norris jokes. That's got to count for something. He was a badass. All right, very nice. I like it. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like. I don't know. Steven Seagal. I like him for the meme. Really, like some people just rag on Steven Seagal, and it's very easy and fun. And Aikido. I mean, uh, yeah, you'd be better off probably learning jujitsu, even as an old man. Like if you research the origins of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the Gracie family, like the uh, the grandfather, like what is it? God damn it, his name escapes me. Regardless, he wasn't a very big dude, like the originator, and it was quickly like his sons. Who one of them, I think Henzo is the biggest one. In terms of like physical size, but it's designed for sort of help little people take out or at least maintain themselves against bigger people. Whereas Aikido, I don't know, I've never done it. Did do jujitsu for a while, broke my ribs, and then took a break, picked up watercolor and acrylic painting, and then found CG and comic books in terms of like being able to create and like as an avenue, and was like, all right, just you know, I never went back, I guess, but I do think about going back to jiu-jitsu. It's a lot of fun. The whole shtick, he was super quiet and respectful until you went too far. Then boot to the head. Boom. All right, I like it. The strong silent type. There's a lot to be said about that, honestly, because people don't behave that way much anymore. It's sort of the opposite. Uh, People behave in that they try to intimidate you by being as loud and aggressive as possible. And that can work for sure. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to argue one way or the other, but I guess if you're going to be like that, you should make sure you can back it up because there's always, to quote, what is it, Qui-Gon Jinn? There's always a bigger fish, which that is the case. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on these people throwing throwing paint and all this bullshit on the paintings and stuff. Like I can only imagine, like, you know, honestly at this point it seems like I don't know if the museums are quote unquote in on it. That's what some people are sort of saying, but it's like you got to know what these people look like when they're coming in, and you should tell them no, you can't come in. Sorry, or pat them down. Let's start doing some pat downs at the museums. Like, look, if you want to come in, then I don't know, we'll have to pat you down to make sure you're not harboring fucking fish guts and bullshit. But I don't know. It sounds a bit like a paddling to me, but I'm a good old lunatic. That's a paddling. And I'm a da, 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 da. Lorenzo says throwing paint is not an effective tactic. Yep, I agree. I mean, it's not. It's really not in terms of like let's get everybody on our side. I mean, if it's in terms of being talked about, sure. And I'm actually not much of a believer in that. Bad publicity is good publicity. I think there's ways to spin it, and that you can make it work for you. Like if somebody got attacked for being racist as a creator, but they're not at all, and it's total horseshit. There's ways to sort of rally that type of fuckery in your favor, and I would consider that an example of good publicity or bad publicity being made good. But the type of publicity these assholes are doing is I mean, honestly, it is probably attracting some people who are like, yeah, that sounds great, let's do that. But I still think it's largely a net negative. That is the lowest form of humanity at this point. You have no talent, can't figure out how to create. So, yeah, that's also the sort of more nefarious and just unspoken element of it. It's like these people aren't creating, they're just destroying. And it was a Van Gogh recently that I know there's been a lot of stuff, but Van Gogh got thrown some shit on it. And, you know, as a ginger, I don't know a whole lot about fine art, but as a ginger, when I was getting into painting, I was like, all right, I gotta research my boy. And yeah, man, that's like that one actually kind of chapped my ass quite a bit, just because out of the limited number of painters I really know, as I was painting, I was listening to the audiobook of it's called My Brother Teo. It's the letters between Van Gogh and his Vincent and his brother Teo, just throughout their life. What they had collected and all this shit. And yeah, it's a beautiful story, and it's not necessarily wrapped in a narrative. They've got it in the timeline order, so everything sort of makes sense. But just the love they had for each other was fantastic. And whether you liked Vincent Van Gogh as a person or not, like, because some might argue he was like a bum, fuck around, crazy person, but I don't know really. I mean, honestly, there was many times in his life when he'd tried regular jobs. He'd had all kinds of jobs. He at one point committed himself to the men version of a nunnery. That didn't work out either. And eventually it was just like his brother and him came to the conclusion, and also it was when he started to pick up some steam as a painter and, like, show some talent. And but also, like, painting was probably pretty much the only thing that guy could do. And I don't know, to me, I find that beautiful. That's one of the things that I really love about the story, is how his brother was able to accept that and be there for him. But hey, all, gotta go get ready for the next show with Rex. Come by if you can. Thanks, Ginge. Hail CG. Yo, I will definitely be there, brother. We're getting ready to round this out as well. I've been going for an hour here, so Shadowhawk, thank you for coming, man. I will be there shortly. So thank you, bro. Take care, man. Lorenzo says what the Billboard Federation front did when they would replace ads on billboards with fake ads makes a lot more sense to me than destroying museum pieces. I haven't seen that, but I would say largely a billboard ad campaign is probably better, but probably would cost these assholes more money. You know what I mean? Like, they probably can't afford a fucking. Well, I don't know. Depends on, like, who they're hooked up with. Like I don't know the inner workings of some of these cells, but I gotta imagine some of them have some funding somewhere. Maybe not though. Maybe that's the use of being able to weaponize people without having to do much of anything. You know what I mean? It's like we can pay these idiots to do this shit for us, and or no, we don't even have to pay them. They'll just do it. We just get them excited, and they'll go do it for us for free. So, and who's the we that's sort of behind all this? I don't know really. I'm not super abreast on all that nonsense. But it's definitely gross. I'm gonna smoke some weed here. Lorenzo, do you drink whiskey? I picked up some whiskey the other night. It's called a Screwball. It's a peanut butter whiskey. Lorenzo says, I think they just draped art over some large corporation's billboard. Not that I advocate breaking the law. I see. All right. Well, honestly, I find that at least more acceptable than, irreplaceably damaging some of these works of art. And not to say that, I'm defending these jagoffs either. By no means, actually. Because what I'm saying is fuck them for doing all that. But yeah, it's like purposefully destroying what the world largely considers masterpieces is deeply wrong. Just feels very wrong on like a human level. Like they're trying to hurt everybody at once. If you care about that kind of stuff. Lorenzo says, I like bourbon and scotch. Okay, see, although those are derived from whiskey, if I'm not mistaken, which I might be, because I'm just sort of recently getting into maybe the finer points of whiskey. I don't really know, but no, I just picked some up the other day, and it was all right. Screwball, it was all right. If you get a chance, I picked up these little shooters. It was like an 8-pack. So the whole bottle was like $10 more, and I was like, no, let's just try it out. Glad I didn't get the bottle, but even Jim Beam's number 8, Jim Beam's 8-year isn't all that bad. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know what's what. I've just been falling down these YouTube channels of like whiskey YouTube channels and fucking like random just people just smoking cigars and telling you about cigars. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This is like some shit I didn't know I wanted to learn about. Always nice to learn. I hated school growing up, but always loved learning. Just shit I guess I wanted to learn. Isn't that interesting? I'm just trying to play with some shapes here. I have not drawn dick all, guys. I've literally done not shit. I've sat up here for an hour and not done a goddamn thing. Lorenzo says, yeah, bourbon and scotch are whiskey variants. I think bourbon is from Kentucky. I think you're right. Kentucky bourbon. Yeah. Yeah, my dad and I made moonshine. Well, we were doing it for a little while, not to any large degree, and not like we were selling it by any means. It was just like Florida, or maybe it was a federal thing, but I know a couple years back there was a law that was passed that said you could possess like essentially like a mason jar's worth legally. It might be more. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, we were doing a couple moonshine variants. Apple pie was one I recall. There was like a few other little offshoots, but yeah, it was moonshine. All right. I mean, it'll set your breath on fire. But yeah, I'm not much of a drinker necessarily, but I feel like as I'm getting older, this is sort of what writers are the trap we fall into. It's a pair of reading glasses, a bourbon or scotch or whiskey, and on the rocks, and then those little sweaters, those little sweaters you see riders wearing, like a little house sweater. It's not like a full sweater you throw on, but it's like, it's like a Mr. Rogers sweater for some reason. Riders adopted sweaters. You're in the house, I guess. Do artists wear sweaters? Are they drawing and wearing sweaters? I prefer a hoodie. I'm a hoodie guy. Where's my hoodie? I don't know. Okay, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up. Let's see here. Definitely appreciate y'all being with me. There I am. I don't know if I'm going to shave this mustache off or not, because this over here. What the fuck? What the? Okay. Yeah, this is driving me nuts. Alrighty. Okay, so he says, I'm all for people legally and safely brewing their own alcohol. I can't have any more than a drink or two due to sugar levels. Man, very well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm honestly there with you in terms of like the freer the better, really. And you know, more power to you as far as all that goes. So, and yeah, honestly, not taking in a bunch of sugar, that's really the best case scenario. But without further divulging into dietary recommendations, everybody, I do want to appreciate you for hanging out with me. And if I can, before we get out of here, just pitch Tropical Magics real quick. 72 pages of action adventure as two best friends fight to save the world and pay rent. And we are getting ready to launch on Kickstarter next month. I'm not going to say the date just yet. We're hammering it out. But we still need a few more people to sign up before we hit at least 10. It's been a little slow going. So if you guys wouldn't mind, please hitting the notify me on launch. I'll just tell you because you're listening. We've got, and I made an announcement on it, but more importantly to it, we are having a fan art contest. I'm going to announce the details on Twitter and on the show next Tuesday. But it's going to be pretty big if you want to get in on it. There is going to be a cash prize. Pedro's ponying up. I won't say the amount, but it's I think it'll surprise people. And also, we're doing a booklet along with it where we're going to be picking the top 12 of our favorite pieces. And if we can, have permission from the artist, print them in a supplemental to go along with the Kickstarter. And the winner of the contest, and this is a big secret, the winner of the contest will be the cover of, along with getting a cash prize, will be the cover of the art book. So that's our plan right now, but we're going to formally announce it on Tuesday. I've got a poll on Twitter going right now asking people if they were interested in an art book. We're trying to tease it and get everybody ready for it, but we do hope this will help get people excited for our Kickstarter. We're doing an exclusive cover for it. And also, if you want a Art T Bear cover, his variant cover of Tropical Magics, this is literally your last chance to get it. Save for going to eBay, which there's no guarantee on that. I've only got this copy and one other of out of, and Pedro only has 2 copies. There are only 4 copies of this cover left. So, and I keep one in storage with my other stuff, and I gotta put one out here for the boys. Y'all know what up. It is a beautiful little piece. And Lorenzo says, you're always welcome to promote your campaign on my channel. I stream Thursday nights at 8 AEST/5, except for on Thanksgiving. All right, buddy. Thank you, man. I will definitely hit you up right after the show. And let's get something going because we need to get these numbers pumped up. So, yeah, man. Thank you, Lorenzo. You are the man. And you're also always welcome on my show, bro. Anytime you want to come on, we do Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. CST. And yeah, dude, we will make something happen. But on that note, let me thank everybody. Lorenzo, thank you, buddy. I really seriously do appreciate it. Shadowhawk, thank you, man, for coming by. I'm going to pop over and say hello. Neo Star, you're the man. Thank you so much. Ash and Jackal, always a pleasure. The first guest of my show ever was Ashen. So, Leo, big shout out to you, brother. And thank you guys for watching Ginge live. And yeah, we'll catch you around. Yes, before yeah, no, it's not launched yet on Kickstarter. No. What we're doing is we're doing a pre-launch sign up for a month. We're going to run it for 30 days and then kick the campaign off. So probably in about, well, it depends. Honestly, if we don't have enough to where we're at, we're going to stretch it out a little bit longer. But no, we'll be launching sometime in December because we've got aside from the fan art thing, we've got some seasonal prints coming out too. And Pedro would probably choke me to death if he found out I was saying this. But but we've got some seasonal prints coming out. We've got a Christmas print and a spring break print that we're trying to match up the printing of the book with these prints. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure it'll be. Yes. So Art T Bear did do a cover for us. Pedro drew this, and Art inked it, and Oliver Arce from I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, the last name, but Ollie from 656 colored it. This was on our Indiegogo, and we're reprinting it for the Kickstarter so that both campaigns have a chance to get the RT Bear cover. But after the Kickstarter, it will literally never ever be printed again, unless Pedro wants to. That's on him at the end of the day. But as we've discussed it right now, this is never going to get printed again. So it's actually very exciting in that regard. It's like, you know, you know, not only did I work on this book and it's a lot of fun and I loved it, but it's like Art T Bear has his hands on this cover, and there's so little that are actually around. I only have two, and Pedro only has two, so that kind of makes it really special to me. And also, I love Ollie's colors on it, man. The way he brought out the blue with this. I mean, it looks really good in person. Let me see if I can solo it. Looks really good in person, and I mean, it's just, and Pedro also with the shapes, and I'm telling you guys, if you like Pedro's artwork, it is only getting better, and it will only get better. And that's easy to say just because, but it's like, trust me, it is only going to continue to get worlds better because I mean, he's a fast learner, and yeah, great guy. Love my co-host. Shout out to Pedro. But all right, yeah, okay. So Lorenzo gets it. Yep, and I like art. I like art too, and I like art's art. And he was kind enough to do this for us since Pedro drew Art's supplemental book for Black and White. So Pedro was able to pull that favor, and yeah, Art was kind enough to come through, especially considering that his time is worth good money. Art seems really humble. He's always been nice to me when I've commented in his chat. Yep, he's a nice guy, and we do hope to get him on the show at some point too. But try not to bother him too much because he is certainly busy making the money and running a business, as we all are actually. So, hooray! But okay, gang, let me get the hell out of here. Lorenzo, nice chatting with you, brother. I will hit you up in your DMs, and we'll schedule something up very soon here. And thank you for watching, and peace, y'all. Take care. Have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.